Good morning, Columbus. Thank you so much for tuning in today's daily dose of digital Torah inspiration here at Sinai Studios, Judaism Today. Some of the parshas in the Torah are very exciting. We read the story, we just came out of the 10 plagues. You talk about, the patriarchs, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the flood, right? These are the exciting parshas in the Torah, the stories that we love. And yet, when we enter this week's parsha, Mishpatim, it's all laws. At least the vast majority of it. And they get pretty detailed and they get pretty nuanced. And for those of you who read Rashi, the commentary, you read these Rashi, there's enormous volumes of Rashi in every pasuk. Could be very daunting. There are tomes of Talmud devoted to, almost every passage in this week's parsha. You have to know almost the entire Talmud to understand this parsha. And it's very detailed and very, very, challenging to really get into it. Sometimes you see things in Judaism and they excite you, but sometimes, especially for me at least, a parsha like this, it's not so exciting and it's detailed and it's difficult and it could feel a little bit onerous. So I just want to share a perspective on some of the details of these laws that we find in this week's parsha, Mishpatim. The laws in this week's parsha are very diverse, very varied. A lot of the tort laws, a lot of the damage laws, a lot of laws of judges, laws of lots and lots of law after law after law after law after law. But what's incredible to think about is that this is divine wisdom. And that God is telling us something that you could read today in a law book and that a lawyer talked about and our secular judges will talk about as well. And that we have to recognize not only is there something unique and special about that, that's different than normative law, than secular law, but that represents a deeper wisdom as well. We're taught in tradition, the Kabbalists explain, that the Jewish legal system represents metaphysical, spiritual ideas. We're taught in tradition that we can understand every word in the Torah on 4 dimensions, what they call pardes, the orchard of Torah, on the pshat, simple rational level, drasha, the midrashic level, remez, what it alludes to, the hints of the Torah, and then on a Kabbalistic sod level. And the reason for that is that when we're talking about God, and we're talking about infinity, and we're talking about something that's a totally transcendent being, right? We're talking about something that's way bigger than anything we can think of. Secular law is what we thought. And that's, what we all agree to, what our best and smartest minds think of how to run society the best. But when we're talking about God's wisdom, we're talking about a totally different thing. We're talking about spirituality. We're talking about Kabbalah, metaphysics sometimes. And so when we read these verses, although at first base you may be reading about a cow goring an ox, or you might be reading about, something stolen from someone else's house that he was watching, we have to remember that there's something way deeper inside. And that when we approach Torah, we have to approach it with a posture wow, what is here and what's beneath the surface here? If you could pontificate about Shakespeare, we can pontificate about the Torah. If we could dig deeper into the Torah, and we could plumb its depths to try and get beyond the surface, not just to understand the surface way of looking at Torah, but what divine wisdom lies beneath, if we can come in contact with that spirituality and godliness, then we'll have a whole new appreciation of whole new vistas of Torah and vistas of our Jewish experience. So I'd encourage everyone, if you have the opportunity, get a chavrusa. Don't just read it yourself. Get a chavrusa. Learn with someone. Learn with someone at the kola. Learn with someone at the shul. Learn with someone at any shul. And dig a little deeper. Dig deeper in the parsha. Dig deeper in Torah. Dig deeper in your Judaism. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Judaism Today. If you did, please make sure to follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, or check into our podcast wherever podcasts are listened to. And we look forward to hearing from you more.